She looked right at me as she kissed him, not a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. The guy had his hands on her waist, lips moving slow like they were alone in the world. And the whole time, Maria kept watching me, like she was waiting for me to react. I didn't even blink. I stood there, expression calm, fingers tightening around the bouquet I was holding. I'd just gotten off work early to surprise her. Spent half an hour picking out flowers because she liked lilies more than roses. Now here I was, watching her shove her tongue down her ex-boyfriend's throat in front of the library. A group of students passed by, laughing and whispering. I heard someone say, "Damn, isn't that her new boyfriend over there?" Another voice, mocking. Guess she got bored fast. Still, I didn't move. Maria finally pulled away, brushed her hair behind her ear, and gave me that fake, innocent look she always used when she wanted to manipulate me. She walked over like nothing had happened. "Philip," she said softly, as if she hadn't just wrecked my whole week. "You came?" I held out the flowers. "I did." She smiled, took them like they were some prize, and looked back toward her ex. "William and I were just catching up." "Looked more like reliving old memories," I replied flatly. She bit. Her lip played with the ribbon around the bouquet. "Don't be like that. You're overthinking it." I wasn't, and I knew exactly what this was. I was the replacement, the side character in her drama. She had only dated me to make William jealous, wanted him to see that someone else could care for her, show her off, do the things he never did. And maybe it had worked, because the look on William's face hadn't been happy, but the part she didn't consider was me walking away, or what I'd do after, because I'm not the kind of guy who makes a scene. I'm the kind of guy who makes a plan. And if she wanted to play games, then fine. I'd play along, but next time she looked at me, I'd be the one kissing someone else, and that someone else would be William's sister. Maria was the kind of girl everyone noticed. Long dark hair, sharp eyes, and a voice soft enough to make you lean in just to hear her better. She had that classic mix of charm and coldness that made you think she'd tear your heart out, but you'd still thank her for touching it in the first place. We met at a charity event. I was helping set up the sound system, and she was the guest speaker. I wasn't supposed to be paying attention. My focus was the wiring, but I still found myself watching her every move. She came up to me after her speech, tilted her head, and said, "You don't talk much, do you?" I replied, "I usually don't have anything interesting to say." She smiled like that was the most fascinating answer she'd ever heard and handed me a cup of lemon tea. From that moment on, we were together. Or maybe I thought we were. Our relationship felt fast but real. Dinners, long talks over the phone, surprise visits, holding hands in quiet corners. She liked that I didn't chase after her like the others did. She said I felt steady, safe. Didn't realize then that safe was code for temporary. She never introduced me to her close friends. Whenever we ran into someone she knew, she'd pull her hand away like she didn't want them to know we were together. I told myself it was because she was private. I believed it. I believed a lot of things when it came to her. The first time I saw William's name on her phone, I didn't ask. It flashed on the screen while she was in the bathroom. I saw the message. "Still up?" She came out a few minutes later, towel in her hand, laughing about something she saw on TikTok. I let it slide. Then I saw his name again. And again. That's when I started noticing the patterns. How she'd get quiet after seeing him. How her mood changed every time she ran into him on campus. How she once came home late, and I could still smell cologne. On her shirt that wasn't mine. I confronted her. She brushed it off. Said I was imagining things. Said she only dated me because I was the calm she needed. I didn't even know what that meant. I wasn't trying to be anyone's calm. I was just trying to love her. I should have walked away. But something about her. Maybe the way she smiled when she was tired. Maybe the way she touched my wrist when she wanted my attention. Made it hard to let go. So I stayed. Even when it hurt. And the worst part? I think she knew I would. She took my silence as weakness. Thought I'd keep playing the role she'd cast me in. The good guy who never fights back. The guy she could cry to when her heart hurt and ignore when it didn't, but I wasn't that guy anymore. She just didn't know it yet. It started with a photo, sent from a blocked number at 2 in the morning. I was half asleep when my phone vibrated, on the nightstand. I picked it up, expecting a work notification, or maybe one of Maria's late-night "You awake?" messages, but instead I saw an image, blurry at first, then horrifyingly clear. Maria, in William's arms. Her face tilted up, eyes closed, lips just inches from his. His hand was on the small of her back, pulling her in like he owned her. The photo was grainy, like it was snapped in a hurry, but that didn't change what it showed. Below the image was a single caption: "She never stopped being mine." I sat there staring at it, cold sweat forming on the back of my neck. I didn't even notice that the girl lying next to me had stirred. She shifted, her bare leg brushing against mine, and whispered groggily, "What's wrong?" I didn't answer. She sat up, reached over, and took my phone from my hand. When she saw the photo, she raised an eyebrow like she'd just found a piece of gossip in a group chat. Then, without a word, she recorded a voice message. "He's mine, too," she said, her tone light but edged with steel. And just like that, she pressed send. I stared at her, stunned. "What are you doing?" She leaned back against the pillow, stretching her arms over her head like she hadn't just lit a fuse. "If your girlfriend's going to be bold, then I'll be bolder." The rest of the night was a blur of silence and ringing notifications. My phone blew up. Calls from unknown numbers, messages I didn't open, all from people I barely knew but who had apparently been watching this whole drama unfold in real time. In the morning, I didn't hear from Maria. Not a call, not a single word of explanation, but I didn't need one. I remembered the way she looked at William at the library, like she was daring him to remember what he'd lost. I remembered the way she clung to me on weekends, as if she needed proof she could still be wanted. I remembered all the small moments that didn't make sense before, and now fit together a little too perfectly. I wasn't her boyfriend. I was her placeholder, a tool to make someone else jealous, someone safe enough to use but boring enough to walk away from. I skipped work and went straight to the park where she used to take me when she needed to clear her head. She was already there, sitting on the bench in that red coat she wore when she wanted attention. She looked up and smiled like everything was normal. "Hey," she said, like she hadn't completely shattered me 12 hours ago. I didn't sit. "Why'd you do it?" I asked quietly. She blinked. "Do what?" "You know exactly what I'm talking about." She shrugged, tucked her hair behind her ear. "It was just a photo, and it's not what it looked like." "Then explain it." She paused, then said, "I was drunk. William was upset. He said he missed me. I didn't want to hurt his feelings." I laughed, cold and sharp. "So you kissed him to protect his feelings?" She looked away, biting her lip. "I was just trying to make him realize what he lost," she whispered. "And me? What am I?" She hesitated, then said, "You're safe." The word felt like a slap. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "Don't," I said. "You don't get to touch me and lie at the same time." "Philip, no. I get it now. You never loved me. You just didn't want to be alone while you waited for him to come back." She didn't deny it. I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. She used me to make her ex jealous. Now I was going to make sure she regretted it, and the first step? Making her watch me fall for someone who was 10 times the woman she could never be. Starting with William's little sister, I kept replaying, her words in my head like a broken song stuck on the worst line. "You're safe?" That was it. That was all I was to her. Safe. Not loved, not needed, not wanted, just safe. Like a backup plan, like a seatbelt, there when things crash, invisible when they don't. The more I thought about it, the more it sank in. I had never been first place in her world. I wasn't the first person she called when she was excited. I wasn't the first she texted when she was hurting. And now I knew I wasn't even the first she kissed when she was drunk and looking for comfort. It hurt in a way I couldn't explain. Not sharp like betrayal, not even hot like rage. It was dull, heavy, like a quiet ache that stayed no matter how loud the world around you got. I stayed in my apartment for 2 days. Didn't go to work. Barely ate. I stared at my phone more than anything else, watching her name stay quiet. No messages, no calls, not even a single, "I'm sorry." Maybe that's what made it worse. Not just what she did, but how easily she could pretend it didn't happen. By the 3rd day, I told myself I was done. Really done. No more forgiving. No more excuses. I was tired of being the second choice in a story that wasn't even mine. I started packing up all the things that reminded me of her. The hair ties on the bathroom sink, the half-used lipstick in my drawer, the hoodie she always stole from me even though it was 2 sizes too big. And that's when I saw it. An old envelope tucked inside one of her notebooks. I pulled it out, curious. It wasn't sealed. Inside were photos of us, ones I didn't even remember taking me, asleep on the couch with her curled up next to me, her kissing my cheek while I looked annoyed but secretly smiling. A candid shot of me cooking, completely focused, and her handwriting on the back that read, "My home." My hands shook because this didn't look fake. This looked like love. So then, what was it? Was she lying in those photos, or lying now? Was I the placeholder from the start? Or did she just lose herself somewhere in the middle? I didn't know what to believe anymore. I didn't know if I was the fool for staying or the fool for leaving. That night, I walked around the city for hours, thinking, remembering. Maria was the first girl I'd ever pictured a future with. I'd imagined walking into a home we shared, cooking dinner for 2, watching dumb shows on the couch until one of us fell asleep. And now? Now all I could picture was her, standing next to William, smiling like I never existed. The thought made my chest tighten so hard I had to stop walking. I sat down on a bench near the riverside and buried my face in my hands. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was humiliation. She made me believe I was enough, just long enough for it to destroy me when I realized I wasn't. But if there was one thing I knew now, it was this. I wasn't going to be anyone's backup again. I wasn't going to beg for love. I wasn't going to wait for apologies that never came, and I wasn't going to let her walk away thinking she won. She thought I was the safe choice. She hadn't seen me angry yet, because the next time she looked at me, I'd be holding someone else's hand and smiling like she never mattered. I didn't expect to see her again so soon. Not like that. It was a Friday afternoon, and I was heading into the university's administrative office to pick up some paperwork. I wasn't thinking about Maria. I'd trained myself not to. But the second I walked through the glass doors, I froze. There she was, sitting across from a woman I didn't recognize, laughing like nothing in the world could touch her. She looked fine, untouched, like everything we'd been through was just a chapter she'd already closed. But that wasn't what stopped me. It was the girl sitting next to her. Petite frame, dark chestnut hair pulled into a low ponytail, soft features and a quiet strength in her posture that reminded me of a page torn out of a storybook. I recognized her instantly. Kelly Williams' sister. I'd seen her only a handful of times, mostly at student events or when she'd come to campus to see her brother. She was quiet, kept to herself, always the one doing things behind the scenes while Maria soaked up the spotlight. But now she was front and center, and smiling. Didn't plan what happened next, I just walked straight up to them and said her name, Kelly. She looked up, startled. Then she smiled, warm and kind, like she remembered me. Philip? Maria's expression dropped instantly. Her voice was sharp. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same, I said coolly, eyes still on Kelly. Didn't expect to run into both of you. Kelly stood up politely, brushing off her skirt. We were just grabbing coffee before my shift. Want to join? Maria looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. He's busy. I smiled. Actually, I've got time. The next hour unfolded like a slow-motion storm. I sat across from them in the cafe, answering Kelly's questions, asking about her internship, watching Maria squirm in her seat every time Kelly laughed at something I said. Maria tried to dominate the conversation, kept bringing up old inside jokes, referencing moments only she and I would know. I ignored every single one. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something shift. Kelly wasn't like her brother. She wasn't arrogant. She wasn't manipulative. She was real. Easy to talk to. And I could see very clearly that Maria hated that, because suddenly she wasn't in control, and then came the twist I didn't expect. After we finished our drinks and Kelly excused herself to use the restroom, Maria turned to me, her tone low and clipped. "What are you doing? Talking." "To her?" I leaned in. "Why? Does it bother you?" She scoffed, folding her arms. "You think dating his sister is going to get back at me?" "Who said I'm dating her?" I asked. She didn't answer. Then she said something. That caught me off guard. "She's not like me, Philip. She's soft. She won't survive someone like you." I stared at her, and for the first time, I laughed. "Good," I said, "because someone like you, I don't want that again." When Kelly came back, Maria stood up, muttered something about being late, and walked out without saying goodbye. But I didn't watch her go. I was too busy looking at Kelly and thinking, let her watch. The first time I held Kelly's hand, it wasn't planned. We were walking back from her shift at the library. It was late, the air cool, quiet except for the soft echo of our footsteps along the brick path. She was telling me about her thesis, some debate with her advisor over the relevance of classic literature in modern culture. I wasn't following half of it. I was too busy watching how her eyes lit up when she talked about something she loved. Then a car passed too close to the sidewalk, and on instinct, I reached out and pulled her toward me. My hand wrapped around hers, and for a moment, neither of us let go. She looked up at me, blinking, her voice quieter now. "Thanks." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. That small moment told me everything I needed to know. This was different. There was no performance, no jealousy games, no testing my loyalty with silence or half-truths. Kelly didn't need to prove anything, and that scared me, more than I wanted to admit, because if this was real, if she was real, then I couldn't afford to mess it up. Not like last time. The confrontation came a week later, an engagement party, not mine, not hers. Some mutual friend of William's and Maria's who had invited everyone out of obligation. I wasn't going to go, until I heard that Kelly would be there, and Maria. I walked into that hall in a dark blazer, Kelly on my arm, her fingers laced tightly through mine. We weren't making a scene. We weren't even trying. But the moment we stepped in, every conversation slowed. Eyes turned, and Maria, who had been smiling in a sea of guests, froze like she'd seen a ghost. She made her way toward us, her heels clicking sharply across the floor. "Philip," she said, her voice too calm. "Didn't think you'd show." Kelly greeted her politely. Maria barely acknowledged her. I replied, "Didn't think I needed permission." Her eyes flicked down to our hands. "So this is real now?" I smiled. "Seems that way." There was a flicker of something in her eyes, panic maybe, jealousy, regret. I wasn't sure which, but whatever it was, she couldn't hide it fast enough. "She doesn't know you," she said flatly. "Not like I do." Kelly tilted her head. "Then maybe you never really knew him either." Maria blinked. "I know he likes tea with too much honey," Kelly continued, voice calm. "I know he reads emails twice before sending them, even if it's just a thank you. I know he organizes his bookshelf by color and listens to the same playlist every night before bed." She smiled, eyes locked on Maria's. "How much do you remember?" Maria opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "I don't need to be first," Kelly said. "I just need to be his last." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was final. Maria took a step back, swallowing hard. Her voice cracked when she said, "You really love her?" I looked right at her and said, "Yes, That was it. No explanation. No apology. No last-minute hesitation. And in that moment, I saw everything she never said written across her face. Regret. Guilt. Bitterness. All wrapped up in the realization that she lost something she didn't even know she wanted to keep. But I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel revenge. I just felt done. Later, while everyone else drank champagne and made toasts, Kelly and I slipped outside to the balcony. She leaned against the railing, the night air lifting her hair gently off her shoulders. I stood beside her, hands in my pockets. "Was that too much?" she asked, glancing sideways. I shook my head. It was perfect. She smiled. Then she asked, "Do you still think about her?" The honesty in her voice made me pause. I didn't want to lie, so I said, "Sometimes, but it's different now. It's like remembering a version of me I don't miss." She nodded slowly. "And me?" I turned to face her fully. "You're the version I want to keep." She blushed, biting the inside of her cheek. I reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and whispered, "You saved me." And just like that, we kissed. No one was watching. There was no audience, no one to impress. Just us, the stars above, and the quiet sound of moving on. Somewhere inside that party, Maria was probably still smiling, still pretending. But out here, I was finally free. A few weeks later, the wedding invitations went out. Mine, well, ours. Kelly. And I weren't planning to make it public just yet. But the moment we decided, her grandfather, the chairman of the university, insisted on making it big. "If you're going to marry my granddaughter," he said, "at least let the world know she didn't settle." The ceremony was small but elegant, held in a private garden, under white lights and warm sunset. Kelly walked down the aisle in a sleeveless ivory dress, simple but breathtaking. Her hand never trembled, her smile never wavered. And the best part? Maria was there. She didn't know until she arrived. I'd purposely left her name off the invite list. But someone brought her, maybe William, maybe one of the old mutuals, didn't matter. I saw her in the back row, frozen, completely still. Her eyes locked on us, wide with disbelief. She hadn't believed it. She thought I was bluffing, thought it was all for show. But now she saw the truth. I wasn't just moving on. I was building something better. Every time Kelly smiled at me, Maria flinched. Every time we laughed together, Maria's expression darkened. She wasn't crying. She wouldn't let herself. But I could see the storm behind her eyes. And I didn't feel pity. Not anymore. Because she made me doubt myself. She made me believe I wasn't enough. And now? She had to sit through every vow, every toast, every kiss, knowing she was the reason I found someone better. She had to watch me say forever to someone who never used me to hurt anyone else. At the reception, Kelly leaned over and whispered, "She's been staring all night." I smirked. "Let her." Kelly tilted her head. "Do you want me to say something?" I shook my head. "No, she doesn't deserve a response. She already got the ending she earned." That night, I posted one photo. Me and Kelly, her hand on my chest, my arm around her waist, her ring shimmering under the lights. Captioned, "Some things fall apart so better things can fall into place." No hashtags, no tags, no mention of names. But the message was loud enough. Maria blocked me the next morning. William sent a text. I didn't bother opening, and the past, it stayed where it belonged, dead and buried. I wasn't the guy she used anymore. I was the man she could never replace, and I made damn sure she never forgot it.